What's up, y'all? This is Nytelife, and this is 4BarLoop. And I'm here with my guest today, which is one of the premier producers that are out here in the Sacramento area. He is super dope, went through the gauntlet, really impressed there, and has just a chill, lo-fi, conceptualized project that's out now for human consumption. And it's definitely a different vibe for you. It's Mr. Andrew Lozano. How you doing, bro?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate being on the show, for sure.
Man, so it's like getting down with you and then hearing you on the gauntlet, man. All the judges were just like jaws dropped on the floor. They were really impressed by what you was doing. And I guess then we'll get into that a little bit later, but I want to make sure that people get to know you and get to know your story, man. So, well, first and foremost, let me stop being a rude host and ask you, how's your night going, man?
Just drank some coffee. It was kind of late. I was babysitting some friends. It's going good. I just got off of work a little bit ago at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's 8:28 now, and I've been looking forward to this interview, and can't wait to share some more beats with you guys. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But my night's going great, man, for sure.
Good. All right, so how did you get your start, man?
Whew. Oh, man. I got to say, I got my start like everyone claims, at an early age. It started off in grade school, man. I was like in an all-boys type of choir. It was actually a co-ed group called the Sylvandale Select out of San Jose. I grew up in Eastside San Jose. I went to a school called Sylvan Jail. No, it's called Sylvandale, but they had high penitentiary, 15-foot, like gates up, and there was no lawn. It was just dirt. So that's how I grew up. But there was a lot of talent in the hood, and there had a teacher named Miss Alcar who heard me singing in the hallway. Literally, she said, "Son, what's your name?" I said, "It's Andrew." And she's like, "Come with me." And she made me sing, do all the chords and stuff. And she's like, "I want you to be in this group." And I looked, and there was already 13 of them, and I was the 14th one. I was the last one, and it was co-ed. It was cool. It was like Filipino, Mexican, Vietnamese, it was dope. And I got into the group, and that's how I really started with the music. I started listening to others, and then I took up the piano because my next door neighbor was a piano player, and took a little bit of bass at age 14, and that's kind of how it all started, all the way into high school, actually. Yeah,
and that it'd be similar stories when I have guests on here as far as they start, man. Like for me, I was I was in high school or whatever, and I was in choir. And so the band teacher comes in, he's teaching choir and he's teaching band. And so he goes, has everybody sings, and then he goes, have anybody in here had, have played an instrument? And I played trumpet. I played trumpet in elementary school. And so I go, nice. Yeah, I play trumpet. He said, great, because you can't sing. So now you're in band.
Oh, well, that brings up a point. I mean, there was a point where my voice was changing at age 13, 14. And so I did play a little bit of the flute. That didn't do too well. I was always winded. I don't know why. But the singing, actually, I'm not a very good singer, but back then my voice was perfect. So I was like I wasn't a baritone. I think it was a baritone. I was able to get those low notes. Wasn't a bass, actually. But gained me more experience on stage. Like, I didn't have stage fright. I felt like I was pretty much a natural because we did shows all the time. In fact, we did shows in Santa Cruz. We performed all these Christmas parties and stuff. It was pretty cool. And Clint Eastwood was there. And he came up to us. I got to meet Clint Eastwood. He was a really sweet guy. Bought us all donuts. Actually, when he told us, he goes, I bought you donuts, but I ate all the donuts, so all I have is donut holes. Really weird. He had a bunch of donut holes all sprinkled on. It was really, I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. But then from there, I went into high school, which was Andrew P. Hill. And I'm telling you, man, my first day of school, there was a shooting, there was a stabbing. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a rough school, you know? And I wasn't picked on because, like I was telling my last interview, I had the long hair. And so I looked like a vato. You know, I was down with all the gang members and I was a skater too. So, you know, no one messed with me. But I joined a band. It was a couple of kids and my brother. We joined a band called Roach. And so all the vatos be like, yo, what's up, yo, Rocha? And we played like Rage Against the Machine, like all these hardcore metal type of songs during the quad. And then, of course, there would be like a rumble, like people just start fighting, just like jail. You know what I mean? Right. It was hood, man. It was good, though. And I couldn't have it any other way. And that's how I got my start, you know, was performing and playing in the quad. And we actually won a talent show by playing Metallica. And I think it was Smashing Pumpkins or something. And that trophy's still there. And I've been asking the school for it. I want it. You know what I'm saying? They got the trophy. I want it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know we talked about your upbringing and whatnot. So you think that inspired a lot of your music and you know your approach now?
Yeah, well, the inspiration came from my dad. I actually have his record here. He was in an all Mexican Latin group growing up, all Christian. So a lot of my family were a part of the Latin Christian community, and they would travel from LA to Austin, and just all over. So I was always surrounded by music when I was a kid. And I know you hear that, it's kind of a cliche, but it's actually true. It really helps mold you as a little one. And so they would have prayer meetings, and then we have the tambourine going. And by the way, I can play a mean tambourine because of that. But it was because of that I actually got into the whole band thing, and I used to jam out with my uncles on the bass, you know, and that's how I started. It was back to my dad, and they not only played Christian music, but they liked secular music. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna ask me what kind of influences I had growing up. It's a pretty big.
Yeah, well, getting into that, I mean, what were your influences during when you growing up?
Oh, let's see. Well, I really liked Andre Crouch. He was a very soulful Christian singer. He passed away years ago. Very talented musician. But because my parents listened to a lot of Christian music, but they also listened to a lot of secular, I was down with Hall & Oates. I was down with Shaka Khan, Michael Jackson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, because his guitar playing. Oh my God, I just look over. Oh, Beastie Boys, John Coltrane. I still got my old vinyl here.
This guy, I got to look over at his records. Look at him.
Tribe Called Quest. I got Led Zeppelin. And I think this dude who was really into a jazz guitar player jazz was really weird for me because I could never get the beat right. It's very different. And it was a dude named Stanley Jordan. He's a guitar player. He used to tap jazz, and he was on Austin City Limits one time. And I told my dad, well, hold on, give me a VCR. Give me the VCR tape. I'm gonna record this. And I still have that recording. This dude, Stanley Jordan, who is this cat? And that's how I kind of got into, like, I started listening to more jazz. And then a lot of my boys were friends I grew up with were listening to like some really cool hip hop. And so I'm like, who is Tribe Called Quest? Who is Slick Rick? Who is Beastie Boys? Run DMC? You know what I mean? Far Side. Yeah. Those were like, and so my influences were really mixed up. I was a little bit into old school rock and then hip hop. So it was kind of fused. It wasn't confusing. It just all made sense. You know, I was taking it all in.
And so I take it that was a good thing with having all of those genres of music, and it's helped you, because I think it reflects on a lot of your production and your music.
I think so too. Yeah, it's really hard to put a name to what I do. And I use that word cliche is because a lot of people say, well, I sound different than everyone else. I really enjoy everybody else. You have to listen. You have to absorb it like a sponge, you know. So that's where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. So as far as the getting into the instruments, what instruments do you play?
I did mention I played the flute for a short time. My next door neighbor was my piano teacher, so I played piano for maybe a year and a half. I did well in my recital. I can say I almost forgot everything, so I dabble with that. I play a little bit of guitar. I have a couple of guitars here, but my main axe is bass, man. My Fender bass. I love my Fender Jazz. I'm a bass player. I always wanted to be like Flea from the Chili Peppers and Bootsy. I mean, I was just funking it up when I was a kid, and people, my dad was like, "What are you doing?" It's like back to back to back to back to back, you know, just really the slap, and I just love that low end, you know. And I remember buying my first bass amp. It just neighbors were complaining because the bass is rattling the walls, and I just loved it. So I'm a bass player by heart, but I'm really picking up all these instruments again as an adult. And trying to hone in where it fits in, you know, not trying to overdo it.
Yeah. So do you think that, like with you playing piano early, you think that's helped with your music theory at all? Because I know there's a lot of producers and stuff that are that shy away from that and they're scared of it.
Right.
Did that early playing of piano help you with music theory?
Yes. And back then it didn't make at all sense. Sherry Bell, which was my next door neighbor, she didn't take in local kids. I begged her to take me in, and I learned the basics. Yeah, and it taught me shapes. So I guess it did, in theory, showed me, you know, your octaves, your triads, and those are just the real bare bone basics of writing music. The theory came a little bit later when I started being in a band and listening to the drummer. I had a drummer named Twinkie that always tried to trip me up in his triplets. And if you're doing a bass line like 1 2 3 and 1 2 3, like, you know, 1 2 1, you know, it just, you got to kind of feel it, and he'll try and you have to keep that bass line smooth because you're the back,
Right.
you're the, you know what I mean. So listening actually taught me a lot more theory when it came to percussion, because that's really what it is. If you take out the sound and you're tapping those bass strings, it's making like a percussion, bop, 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 you know, you know, it's very interesting, and I know bass players and guitar players would understand what I'm saying. Even you probably. It's fun, man. It's fun to jam.
Yeah. So as far as for you, production wise, I like to ask their producers. I don't need them to give away their secret sauce as far as what they're trying to do, but I am interested in regards to your as far as what, you know, digital audio workstation you use. You know, what's your trigger of choice? You know, is it MPC? Is it machine? You know, what's your preference there?
Whew, MPC, man, that's dope. I never did own one. I always wanted one, and I had a chance to borrow one for a while. My production, or my DAW that I use now, is, first of all, I use a Mac and I use Logic Pro. So I
Okay.
sequence a lot. Let's see. I use Native Instruments complete keyboards, and I use a lot of plugins because, like Slate Digital, for instance, for all you producers out there who know what I'm talking about, Slate Digital offers an all-purpose or all-pass. You pay $9.99. You get access to all their plugins. In fact, these headphones are made by Slate Digital, and they can, my microphone there, they can replicate any microphone you want. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can buy a mic modeler like this microphone over here, or these
Right.
headphones. And so that's really my secret sauce, is basically not going out and buying all this expensive gear, because you really don't need it anymore, because the digital effects and plugins have gotten that good. They can emulate. And of course, you do need to add a few things and some air to it. But you can get a really fat tone within the box. And I mean this iMac that I'm on right now.
Okay. Nah, so that makes a lot of sense. So what's your approach to, like, you know, composition when you're creating beats? I mean, do you start with drum patterns? Do you start with your chords? You know, what do you usually kind of get yourself going in regards to production?
Um, Honestly, my approach to writing music comes from all directions. Lately, it's been inspired by some like boom bap type of drums, and that's just recently, within the last year. and some really good filtered house music kicks, because I'm a house music producer. I'm an everything producer, really, but I like to get some of those house music kicks that hit around 80 hertz so it can punch through. Next, I would start with some sampling, or even play like filtered chords, like using the retro synth in Logic Pro, or I would use Sonic Academy's Anna 2, which is
Mhm.
also included with the Slate Digital stuff. And then for bass, this is kind of funny because I get a lot of people ask me, how do you get that warm bass tone? And Logic Pro has something called the ESX24 sampler, but with the new version of Logic, it's just called sampler. And so you open up the sampler, and if you don't put a sample in there, it'll just play a sine wave. And so I use that sine wave, and I mold the release and the attack so that I'll get rid of the clicking noise. And then I add a saturation, and I'm giving away some really cool tips here.
I see.
Yeah, the saturation. And the reason you add the EQ, compressor, saturation, limiter, and then if you want gate or compressor for the side chaining. But the saturation will add a certain distortion. This is what's important these days. This thing right here, the sound that comes out of these things, if that bass isn't coming through that phone, they're just going to hear drums and vocals and whatever. That bass needs to resonate in there. So you got to put some sort of fuzz or something on the end of that bass, so that it comes through. So the bass sounds like it's present. And that has been something I've been trying to lean on more, try to respect for those, because the younger generation, they're not listening to vinyl on big speakers anymore. They're popping stuff through their headphones or their
Right.
beats and these guys right here. So I try to make my sound round enough so that it can be listened on all basically any Bluetooth stereo system. And that's what these kind of help with too. I can emulate different iPhones, small radios.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's usually how I kind of create my sound nowadays, and how I start my beat process. Starts with the drums, and then it goes into the composition. Or I'll hear something on a movie, and I'll tell my wife, "Oh my God, I need to sample it." And I know there was a song that you really, really liked, and we'll get into that, and I'll tell you how I created it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. That's great. So moving along into that, let's talk about Conceptualize.
Mhm.
Was that a project that was something that you just pieced together, or is it something that you just conceptually like, okay, hey, I'm building this from scratch. I have an idea where I want to go, and then you just basically composed it moving along?
Well, that's a good question. Conceptualize was like, well, let me start from the beginning. I've been mixing and mastering artists for over a decade, and after going off tour, saving my money, and building this studio that I'm in now, I wanted to help folks get their music out. And for the longest time, I just been sitting on my production. I've been putting out a bunch of EPs, house EPs, and it's so saturated right now that I wanted to kind of take it down a level and kind of challenge myself. And so it was either put out another EP or go for a full-length album and showcase my talent, right? So Conceptualize was probably the easiest project I've ever worked on. And I tell you, it was last year, it was February, and when it came March, it was hot as hell already. We had some weird heat wave come in last year,
Yeah.
and then you had COVID, and then I work for a tech company, and I was able to work from home. So on my lunch breaks, I would make a beat, and then when I was off work, I'd go sit outside because it was so hot, and I would listen to my own music. And I was like, I got something here. I started off with the song called Honey, and it just kept, I was like my biggest fan and my biggest critic. But when I would write, it would be done, mixed and mastered, finished, and I'd go on to the next song hours later.
That's beautiful.
So Conceptualize to me, it was probably, I was able to exhibit something that was more experimental. And I've always liked Mark Farina's down-tempo albums like Mushroom Jazz. I don't know if you ever listened to him. He's from Chicago, moved to LA. He's on Ohm Records out of San Francisco. If you ever heard of Mark Farina, listen to him. He's dope. I got to be on some of his down-tempo albums with my band Unique, and that's what that and listening to like Roving Jewel, a guy I produced, they all help influence my sound. And some dude called The Deli, and listening to like Chill Hop Radio and like Chilled Cow. If you're listening to that on Spotify, yeah, it's really slow. That all influenced me, and I just pulled out the synths and got into it. And I mean, I could talk about this all day. It's great.
No, that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
That's what we got the platform for, man. In regards to that, I do want to talk about that because, you know, I recently had a post where I kind of went off of some cats over the whole lo-fi thing because I felt that people are using that as an excuse to release unmixed stuff, and they, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna throw a filter on it. It got three instruments, and I'm gonna just throw a filter on it and have it unmixed, and it's gonna be cool, and it's lo-fi.
Right.
Now it's lo-fi.
Right.
Now, in regards to lo-fi, can you give somebody like a hardcore definition of what that is so they know what time it is in regards to lo-fi?
Well, like, what is lo-fi beats, right? Think of like your old cassettes. Think about listening to old beat up cassettes, and that's the sound you're going to get. It sounds like it's degraded type of music. It is a genre on its own to sound like that. You got the crackle of the vinyl record in the background, maybe. You have like some high shelf cut offs on the low end, and you shove off the high end, and you just got the middle of the EQ, and you got that sound. For me, I knew I can accomplish that, but how was I going to stand out? And I wasn't trying to go for something different and reinvent the wheel. I wanted to be lo-fi, but I also wanted it to be big and bold. Right. So if you were to bump this in your system, and I don't know if you guys still rock with the 10-inch or 15-inch woofers in your car, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear the girth that I put into it. You know, the heart and soul that I put into it. So I wasn't playing around. Because I actually had it sounded like, you know, like it took no effort. It had 3 instruments. If you look at my Logic sessions and Logic Pro sessions, I don't have 3 tracks. I have probably 120 because everything listens to everything. You can't just throw a delay on there and expect it to do its job. You have to actually fine tune it, compress it, gate it, sidechain that, you know, and basically tame that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Man, I sit up here and watch. I watch, like, you know, I'm a big like Brandon Meeks fan, and I listen to his breakfast beats like almost every morning religiously, and I see the techniques and stuff that he uses when he's going over those beats, and it's like, okay, that's what kind of got my goat about the whole lo-fi thing, because I know how much time this guy is putting into this, and when he's showcasing it and making these changes and doing all of that stuff, right? It's amazing. And I'm like, I know that technically it's more than just because people be just like, oh yeah, it's lo-fi. No, it's not. Knock it off.
And I like to piggyback what you just said. I don't like to consider this album straight up lo-fi, and I know it came off like that in some of the notes that I have for my album. I consider it like almost like a jazzy lo-fi feel, and I wouldn't consider it all lo-fi, because if you listen to the whole album, it takes you on a journey. It starts slow at 75, maybe 80 BPM, and it gravitates up to 100 BPM purposely with the last track on the album called Universe. And Universe starts off with I think I started with the Kids in the Park. If you listen to the first song called Conceptualize, to Universe, where it takes off, it leaves Earth and it takes you on a journey. Every song, I can tell you a story about each one, and that'll probably be for another interview, because I go deep. That's and it's dope, like this movie I created in my head, and it's very real to me. The energy is there if you just listen, and it is important that I almost went for a concept album, but I didn't want to call it that yet, because I don't feel like this is not the right one yet. I will get there, and you'll hear it.
Yeah, man. It's just like listening to your production, and it's amazing that you have these ideas as far as being able to have everything have a story, which is smart. I got a producer that we just got on Squad, G Love, same thing. He builds these beat tapes, and it's all a story, and it's all connected, and it's all beautiful like that. And those things are important, because it's like when you're selling things that don't have words or lyrics, or very minimal words or lyrics, you have to be able to bring people in so they're part of the experience. And I think that the songs that you have that, and I think that's why everybody was kind of drawn to that when they were in the Gauntlet. It was like, whoa, this is like, okay, you have to ride it out. You have to kind of, it's like it's a thriller movie. I have to see what the end's gonna be like, because you don't stay in the same spot. You come here, and then you have up crescendo, and then you may slide off a little bit, and then you'll bring it back up again. And it's like, man, there's so many different elements to the production you have, and listening to those nuances is just, that part of it for me is amazing. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go into one of your songs. It's called "Feel It in My Soul," and we'll talk about that up next on 4BarLoop.
The homie asked me how you know. I told him that I feel it in my soul. The flow is chilly chillin', they can feel it in their bones. I'm headed home, got the bag, I came to split it with my bros. I ain't here to brag about it, man, I'm here to make a toast. We praise the Most High. She wanna rock the boat, I took her on a boat ride. My name good, the game need me like a cosign. It gets deeper as the nose stops. 23, 4, 5, tapping into both sides. They can't stop me. My white tee cheap, the bread count is on Versace. Rolling up grapes, shorty sipping on Rossi. You know I ain't shit without my posse. A couple got sticks like hockey, but it's obvious you envious. Some lobbyists pretending that they prominent. My ending won't be written by an author that ain't fit. You watered down, worried about the drip. I came in with the dip, cause I'm focused on the chips. Like, I'm trying to shake the course of history. Word to school, he a machine, it ain't a mystery. What it do? I came to put you out your misery. The wizard with the wizardry, I keep it even, baby, peep the symmetry. Play a beat, he a rap addict. Run the underground, I never had addicts. A true saying, you can hashtag it. Do it to you bad rabbits. A real prince, he a spitting image of his dad habits. I told them that I feel it in my soul. The flow is chilly chillin', they can feel it in their bones. I'm headed home, the reefer got me right up in my zone. They know when I'm a Jedi, they attacking with the clone. How you know? I told them that I feel it in my soul. The flow is chilly chillin', they can feel it in their bones. I'm headed home, the reefer got me right up in my zone. They know when I'm a Jedi, they attacking with the clones. Strong like a Porsche when I drive by. You can feel the horsepower torque. I want my credit, none less, none more. He the flyest in the room, I can skydive. God hustle, they used to call me Johnny 5 Jobs. Used to serve 2 for 15, baby, I hop. And they don't want beef, I flip burger, let the fries drop. Tunnel vision, cyclops, skating in my high tops. From the nosebleeds to the skybox, classic like IROX. Before you notice it, the lights dim, then your life stops. Shit be looking like it's livestock. Pray the price tank, they gon' spend it on some ice in a Benz. Love to gamble to that dice flop. Time is money, night watch. My shorty asked me how I do it. Told her that my destiny is ancient as the ruins. Worth a couple B's out in Boston with the Bruins. Cold beer while the plant's still growing. Man, what the fuck you doing? I let the pot burn. Off top, I'm on their head like sideburns. Before they hit the blunt, I make them give me 5 first. They praying that I die, but watch how I diversify the portfolio. I don't need a rollie or a newer ring. You know that I'm only built for Cuban links. They sippin' like they Ruben stuttered. Got the open looking cluttered, speeding out the gutter, burning reefer like it's rubber, it ain't new to me. I told them that I feel it in my soul. The flow is chilly chillin', they can feel it in their bones. I'm headed home, the reefer got me right up in my zone. They know when I'm a Jedi, they attacking with the clone. How you know? I told them that I feel it in my soul. The flow is chilly chillin', they can feel it in their bones. I'm headed home, the reefer got me right up in my zone. They know when I'm a Jedi, they attacking with the clones.
All right, y'all, we're back. We've just listened to "Feeling in My Soul" by Andrew Lozano. So why don't you go ahead and tell me about that track? Because you said that every track has a story. I want to hear the story for this one.
Okay, so "Feel It in My Soul." Again, my buddy Roving Jewel is a client of mine that I did produce both of his albums. I wouldn't say produced, I mixed and mastered them and did a little bit of production. and I use a lot of my sidechain techniques. But his last album had some MCs on there, and I reached out to him and I was like, "Yo, you got some MCs you want to throw at me?" And because I need to make this album, I got to put something in there. It just seems like it's all instrumental, and I felt like I needed a voice. So, and might I add, I had several MCs on this one, but he told me about some dude named Johnny from Sacramento. I don't know if you guys know this cat. So I go like normal people. We jump on Instagram. We'll go and peep out these guys, flipping through it. I'm like, okay. And his voice just was something like a little bit more different than I've ever had. I was like, oh man, I'm going to reach out to this dude. So I hit up, I'm like, yo, what's up? Your boy hit me up. Told me he gave me your Instagram page. I got a track I wrote. I want to see if you want to spit on it. He goes, cool, man. Send it your way. I said, tight. So I literally that same day wrote the track in 4 hours, bounced it down, mixed and mastered. Okay. It wasn't exactly there, but I wanted to sound top notch for this MC. You got to get them excited.
Right.
Sent it over and I was just I went back to work and I was just, there and I heard bing and looked at it and all I see is dope. Bro, this is like the baddest song I've heard. I'm like, oh, cool. He likes it. He's like, I'm already writing to it. And I said, okay. Within a week, he gets back to me and sends me an IG message with the voice recording. And I go to peep this out and he's spitting on it. I'm like, okay. You nailed it on the head, man. I need you to get in here as soon as you can. And within that week, he actually came here, blessed my studio and nailed it. And what I like about MCs is that you can tell they're not phony rappers because he knows when he wants, no, bring that back. I want to do that part again. And I thought it was flawless. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, let's get that back. And then he nailed it again. And he's like, let's do it one more time. Okay, cool. And we got it all done. And within an hour, we had a track. And then we got into talking and he was like, bro, he was comparing me to an MC and producer that just passed away, MF Doom. God bless his soul. I wasn't a big MF Doom fan. I mean, I've heard of the cat and I listened to a couple of his beats. It wasn't until after he said that I was like on this dude and I was like, I got to get this guy. I got to work with MF Doom. And then he passes. And I was really crushed when that happened. But that is how Feel It in My Soul started. And it actually wasn't called Feel It in My Soul. It had a different name, but Aries from UBO was listening to the lyrics and she called my album Chili Chili. And that's that was part of his lyrics. So we kept it all in there. And that's how Feel It in My Soul came about. And it was literally written in 4 hours. And if you want to throw that MC session, 5 hours it took to make that track from start to finish and my guitar playing. Yeah, it is a good track. It's one of my faves. In fact, I got something I made back there. It's all in glass, and I'm gonna give it over to the MC when I see him as a little present.
Man.
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing, man. It's like when you take pride in what you do, and you take pride in who you're working with, it's gonna make the project that much better. Cats is sometimes cats get paid to, man, I'm gonna just press record, just do that. That's all they want me to do. Fine. But you have an investment, and you have an understanding of what you want out of the artist, and then the artist in turn tells you what they want out of you, and it just makes a better marriage that way. Yeah,
it really does. And shout out to Johnny for being on the track, man. It really set the mood in the world. He's talking about smoking blunts, drinking. I mean, it's real, dude. He speaks from the heart, and I'm just really blessed to have him on there. And I mean that sincerely for all the artists who were able to be on my album. And of course, no one records for free. I make sure I take care of my artists, and that's important. Producers, you don't take advantage of these hardworking cats out there.
Yeah, that's important. And my thing was making sure that the producers were taken care of in these situations too, because you guys go out here and you bust your ass to put together these canvases for these artists, and everybody wants it free, and it's like, come on, man, you gotta pay the people who create. If they create this for you and they created this this wonderful situation for you to be able to rhyme on, why aren't you paying them? You know,
Mm-hmm.
give them their due when it comes to that.
For sure.
So,
Yep.
no, so I feel where you coming from with that, and because I salute you. I salute you on paying your artists that came on and to perform on your album. That says a lot, man. Because cats be so hungry right now that they just be like, man, I'll rap on anything. And
I know.
For you to give them that compensation, that's dope, man. That says a lot about you.
Yeah.
As far as how you care about the artists, care about the artists, and care about the community in general.
And you know, you mentioned something. The MCs, they'll just rap on anything. There is some, and we were talking about this offline, you know, some cats in Sacramento that I did reach out to, and they're all about the money. And I don't even know if they even listen to the tracks I've sent them. And it really hurts. I at least like to hear, hey, I love your track. I love what you did here. Look, give me something, you know, and then tell me, oh, I cost this much. You know what I mean? It's just, for me, that really bothers me. I feel like there has been some really hard MCs to work with out here in Sacramento, but I'm still looking for you, man. I know there's some underground producers out there and MCs out there, and I know you got what it takes. You have fire, and I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring it with this next album.
Well, if you got a spare 16 spot laying around, I will definitely make my way through to jump on that, because I like I said, I was like, yo, I called right after the gauntlet. I was like, yo, what's up with Andrew? Is he spoken for? Because I need to work with that cat.
Oh, but that's cool, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. So getting into, funny we talk about that because we got to get into the gauntlet. As I said earlier, you recently competed. You know, you openly talked about using the beats on your project and that's always a brave step when you go, okay, well, I have a project and I'm using this as my gauntlet. You know, as my gauntlet choices. Right. And the producers that are in there are not playing, bro. So if you don't have what it is, you don't have what it is to match up with them, then you could have a short night, and you went in there and you clawed and scratched, and your production style is what was winning, because you had musicality, and that musicality was what was kicking everybody's ass. Right. So, man, I'm telling you, before I just give you flowers on here, what was the experience like being in the gauntlet, and did you learn anything going through there?
Oh man, I was not prepared. And I'll give you guys a skinny of how this transpired. So I hired Aries from UBO magazine. She's out in Hawaii, you know, and to help me out and promote my album. I mean, I needed help this time around. I couldn't do it all myself. I usually do.
That's our girl. Shout out, man.
Yeah, shout out to Aries, man, for sure. She works hard. She was like, your beats are cool, and you should put it on this show. They'll critique your album. I was like, oh, okay, you know, and they only have a $10, you know, you just donate $10. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't do my research. So I sent the $10, and I'm like, even if you don't use me, here it is. I support your show. And I watched a couple of just this, you know, I was in between calls, you know, working my job, and I was just kind of just watching a few of the shows. And I was like, oh my God, these dudes are not playing like you just mentioned. They got some slapping hard ass beats. And I'm over here sending this very slow, melodic, like lo-fi-ish type of chill wave type of beats. I honestly, came time, fast forward, it's Thursday. I didn't even take time off of work. I had to call out sick. Hope my boss isn't listening. I'm just kidding. No, I actually took the time off. But I didn't realize you guys had to say, Andrew, what do you want to play next? It was a battle. You had to choose a song. So I gave you guys my full album plus my bio and a cute little picture of my album. And I'm like looking at my list. I'm like, dude, who was it? I was up against Arsenic.
Right.
And dude was dope out the gate. I was like, homie was like ill. I was like, he had some slopping electronic beats, and I had this lo-fi album, and then I submitted, and seriously surprised that I actually won that battle. Because in respect to Arsenic, I think you're a dope producer, and I'd love to hear more of your music, man. But then I had to go up against, I think it was Brain God Blaps, and dude came out heavy with the zipper thing. I was like, whoo! It reminds me of my old days of making music. I was like this, and I don't mean old. I mean, it was cool, it was new, it was fresh, it was hard hitting, and it was like kind of like dubsteppy in the sense, you know. And I was like, oh God, what am I gonna send? And I was seriously surprised that. And when I submitted the song, your homie was asking, Andrew, what do you want to play, bro? What are you gonna play? And I was typing it over and over and over again. There's just a lot of people liking Brain God Blaps. And then I put my head down. I'm like, he's playing this song, and I look up, and everybody's like, and then dude's like, what? Like, what? You know, I was like, okay, maybe I'm still in this thing, right? I was very pleased with the outcome, and I was so happy to bring something different to the Gauntlet. And I learned a lot about a lot of these really good producers out there. You guys, man, just keep doing what you're doing, because you are there. And I love the criticism, constructive criticism you were giving out to all these guys. I listened to the whole show after, and that I think that Brain God Blaps. Oh, he had this one track with the strings. You remember that one? Whew. Yeah. I was like, oh man, I'm a fan. And again, that's me being a musician and listening to the talent that we have in our in this area here, you know, in this area code. Whew. Yeah. So again, I wasn't prepared, but I'm glad I did it. It was fun, and I probably will do it again with a lot of. I'm going to give you guys a whole bunch of beats, and see how it goes. I will. Yeah.
Well, hey man, we enjoyed having you. I'm telling you, man. You was the toast of the town after we had got off. We had our little side chat. And the thing is that musicality and that having different style beats and creating a vibe and creating a movement, that wins. That will win. You know, it's nice to get something that knock and something that got stupid drums and all of that stuff, but if you get something that create a mood for you, man, it's hard to beat. That's hard to beat if it make you feel something. And that's the most important thing about music, is that shit give you goosebumps, or it make you feel in your soul, or make you remember, oh man, I remember this girl, she broke my heart, and all that. You listen to that shit. That's why you listen to music. You listen to music right. to you listen to music to dance, you listen to music to relate to situations, you listen to music to hear a story. And if you have any of that production wise with no words on it, and you can tell a story with just beat, man, that's why you end up going far.
Yeah, I had your boy Drugs. What's his name? What's his title? His artist name? It was something Drugs.
It's just Drugs Beats.
Drugs Beats. I was like looking at Homeboy. I was looking up at him, and I was like, oh man. And he was like, all right, okay. And he said something like it brought back the 90s beats for him, and I was like, that's exactly what I was going for. And he called it out, because that's where I come from, you know. So I was trying to keep it real. That was fun, man. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you guys having me on, but it did catch me off guard. And again, my hat off to all those cats who put their music in, and their time and their efforts and their energy, because it was fly. I was feeling everyone's beat, throwing the drums down the hallway. That was funny.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man, and just the reaction of you guys, and how you guys are such a community in that chat, and are just giving each other love back and forth. It's like, it's dope, man. It's dope. One of my favorite joints in that battle was 11:57 p.m. That was like, I was like, okay, man, all right. That made me pick the bat phone up when I heard that.
Wow.
So tell me about that.
Well, to tell you the truth, 11:57. It wasn't gonna make the cut, man. I had already had 12 tracks, and I ended up knocking out one of the songs and replacing it with the 11:57 last minute, because I put a snippet up on, I think it was a Facebook or Instagram, and like people were like, dude, this track. And I was like, really, this track, huh? And it's funny you mentioned that track, because I talk about using the iPhones a lot. You know, one of the things that you need to be experimental with is using this as an instrument. as a tool, and I've literally used the microphone on this, and I was watching some movie, and there was some girl talking on there or some singing on there, and I put my phone up there and I sampled it, and the sample you're hearing is in the song, and that's why I felt like the quality wasn't there, but then it kind of fit the kind of like the presence I had of it kind of pumping. The song does take you, it starts off with just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just doubles up in the beat, and then the bass line goes for a walk, like you mentioned, or someone had mentioned. We're just boom, 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 and then it started slumping. And it's funny because after that, the Gauntlet, and you guys were vibing to that track, I actually bumped it in my studio again, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm so glad I kept this on the album. And I had that little sample of 11:57 p.m. I had to throw that in there, and I think your boy actually was like, "What?" He was like, "What?"
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope. I heard that, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I got a call."
Oh, and it's funny because you guys stopped it right where it gets really weird. Like I put some really cool filters on there. God, what is it? I have to tell you guys later. It's a really cool filter effect that I like to use every once in a while. It fit this track so good, just really wobbly, and it just was so. The energy and power was in that track, and the bassist really pumps. I'm really proud of that track. Now that you guys mention it, man, it means a lot. Appreciate you.
That's dope, man. So as far as with the moving on to just production in general, with the production and creation of it is exploding, and what are some of the challenges for you as a producer navigating the market to be different from everybody else?
It's a tough one. I would say like all producers and musicians, we can all make beats and write music. The hard part is promoting yourself and getting yourself out there so people can gravitate to your sound. How many times have you guys, and I mean the crowd, who's everyone listening here, how many times where you're on Spotify or Pandora or Apple Music and you discover some artists like, damn, who is this dude? And then you go to look for them and they're nowhere to be found. There's no Facebook, there's no webpage. Those are the gems that I really like. And for me, the hard part for a lot of producers I see is that you need to start promoting yourself. You can't just like, oh, I wrote this dope ass album, I'm going to put it out and people are just going to find it. Nope. You need to have a SoundCloud, Bandcamp. You need to, and I don't mean just swamp the internet with your videos over and over and over again. You have to set up a schedule so that you know the right times. Do your research. Figure out the right times. Like you don't want to do it like with Monday morning, when people are like stressed out, probably hungover, have to go to work. They're not going to want to listen to music then. But you also need to get your music out there. Finish your beats, producers. Finish your beats. They are dope. Get them out. I understand they're not polished, but hell, man, some of these guys are out there. They didn't have polished beats, and look where they're at now. Look at K Tronada. Flying Lotus. If you ever kept anybody on Ninja Tune or Brain Feeder, those guys, their beats weren't polished when they came out, but some producers saw talent there and say, hey, why don't you come into my studio? Let's polish you up. And so that's my advice is get your stuff out there, put it on as many forms as you can afford, and don't pay for plays. Please don't do that. Get yourself kicked off of Spotify. Go ahead and pay for your playlists. Go ahead and do that. And trust me, you will be kicked out.
Bro. Hey, you preaching right now. You preaching because I'm telling you, that's one of the big things. It's like, I know you want to organically build your audience. Mm-hmm. You know you want to do that, but you can't cheat the system. Mm-hmm. I think the one thing that you bump your head on is when you look up and your streams are cut in half. Mm-hmm. When you look up and your views are cut in half, and have to have that happen, it is. You know what I'm saying? It's soul crushing. It's soul crushing because you thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm doing this and that. I'm getting a little buzz or whatever. Nah, you're not, because these bots took over, and they pumped your views up to an astronomical level, where people were like, well, damn, yesterday you only had 10 views and all of a sudden you got 10,000. What's going on?
I question that.
Of course it's going to raise some eyebrows. But, cats is in a rush, man. They in a rush and don't want to organically build, but you have to. And in order to do that, you got to put out music all the time.
And it's okay to build a persona, like maybe put some fancy glasses on, take some really cool press shots. Good for you. You're promoting yourself. I mean, look at me. I wouldn't think in a million years I would put out an album with my face on the cover looking like this in the middle of a pandemic. And I may have had heat stroke that day, but I did it. Put it out there because I produce a lot of folks and they all know this face right here on Facebook and they all see the productions I'm doing for other people. I wanted to do something for myself. Like, this is the dude who put that album out. And that's the only time you're going to see that again. And my next album, you're going to see the back of my head. And I don't have it done yet, but no, for real. It's called High Tide, and we'll get into that.
Okay. So you went into my question because I was going to ask you about what tips you can share with producers and whatnot. And you just did that. Let me kind of take you out of the realm. How is today political climate change and social justice and world events and like the pandemic? How has that changed your inspiration as a producer?
Bro, these times, man. Wow. First of all, I'm not a very big on politics, but it really, really, really seriously touched me and bothered me with the whole George Floyd's death. And that video of the 8 minutes and 46 seconds, God, it hits you, Right. It was terrible. I was angry and sad. And I was mad at our country and I'm mad at the rest of the world. Sorry, just chokes me up.
I understand.
Yeah. And how freaking racist this country can be, And oh God. Whew, it was a terrible feeling I had, man, when I saw that. And the first thing I can do is I wanted to have a voice. I wanted to go up on Facebook and shout how angry I was, but everyone was doing that for me. So my voice was getting in the studio and getting on this keyboard and on this computer and writing some music. So I did that. I wrote a song and it's called Getting Bad Out Here. And it's a dramatic hip hop type of boom bap type of style music. And I have a crowd from Minneapolis chanting, what do we want? And it's like justice. What do we want now? In the middle of the song, it does that. And then it does it again at the tail end. Powerful, powerful song. I was looking for an MC to help me with this. And at the very tail end, it does that chant. And then I decided to put like a single breath. And that's how it reverbs out to a close. Man. And it's, but I didn't put it on Conceptualize because I felt it would have been really powerful to maybe release a little bit later. There was so much confusion and I just didn't want to add fuel to the fire. In fact, I was telling my wife, you're talking about politics, the storm the Capitol. It's a powerful movement. I get it. Not something I would have done. I'm not against what people do, but I'm not for violence. Mm-hmm. So when that happened on January 6th, my album was to be released on January 8th. I told my wife, I said, baby, I don't know if I can put this album out. We're at war. This country's upside down. We have a messed up president. And who am I to be selfish and put my album out and say, look at me, right? My wife said, you know what, Andrew, you're right. Maybe you should wait. And I said, I can call back DistroKid and push it out later. I could stop all the download sites from doing this. And then the 8th came around. I started seeing I fill in the gauging Facebook, because everybody's on Facebook, right? Twitter. And I started seeing everyone starting to calm down. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and release it. Let's take their minds off of something. Right. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, because the temperament of the internet, it was bad. And I put it out. I had opened up a bottle of champagne. My wife was like, oh, she's so cute. She was on Instagram filming this whole thing. And I'm glad I put it out when I did. But I definitely have a voice about politics, and it's going to come out with my music. And not to steer away from that direction, but I ended up writing another song that I worked on with Roving Jewel, and it's called Breathe. And instead of having a man with the last breath of air, and I will do both, but this one's going to be on my album for sure. It has just a woman breathing, and it's got a stabbing of an angelic vocal in the background. And it's a powerful, powerful song. And I'm glad I worked with Roving Jewel. Shout out to Roving Jewel. Check out his album, 30th Expansion. Dude's making waves right now. And I don't know, man, if you want to listen to the track sometime, I'll send it over to you, the original that I wrote. It's a very powerful song, and I'm hoping it'll meet the needs that people are looking for. Yeah, and that's how I feel about politics, in this day and age.
You don't even understand how much that is my bag when it comes to it, man. I take exceptional pride in songs that are of content to be able to not only teach, but to motivate people and to inspire them to love and to look at my skin and appreciate my skin, because, obviously, Black, brown people have it the hardest right now and have had it the hardest for a very long time. So anytime that I'm able to create a song like that, to get people thinking and to get them, inspired and feel stuff, that's what's important to me. So I definitely, man, I want to hear both of them tracks, because like I said, I have, when I'm moved in that direction, nobody can stop me when it comes to the creative process. I have to get my shit off when it comes to that, man, because it's just so much going on in the world that it has to be said, because if you don't get it out, then you're gonna express it the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's how I do it. I use music and somebody mentioned to me that music is the universal language in heaven, and I believe that we speak to each other all day long. And like you mentioned, you feel a certain kind of way when you listen to certain beats. It makes you feel young, makes you feel youthful, it makes you feel older, makes you feel angry, makes you feel happy. I just, with this album, I was just trying to meet my needs, but also express something that I was feeling in here and right here. And this next album is going to do the same thing. I got a little bit of soul, a little bit of funk. I got my wife on vocals.
Nice.
Real excited about this next one. Yeah,
man. Well, I can tell you that it means everything in the world for you to be as moved as you are by that. Just reminiscing in that moment in time and making you feel that way says a lot about you as far as your art and as far as how you just feel about this, world. And, and it shows how good of a person you are, when those things happen. So I have so much of an appreciation for your music. And I'm excited to hear what's going to be next. I'm excited to, see what this next project is going to be like, your next run through the gauntlet. And then, just for Conceptualize, man, just thank you. Cause I think it's such a great project. It's such a great project. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is. And it's a total reflection of you. It's a total reflection of you. Yeah. So it's like anytime, anything you need, bro, like seriously, I'm above and beyond prepared to do what I need to do. Like I said, I got to go ahead and swipe and go ahead and get your album, because I need to get that for me. So
appreciate you, man.
Yeah. So when the next project drops, you have a name for that project yet?
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit ago. I've been messing around with a couple. It was going to be an EP, and I think Aries had promoted it as an EP. That's from UBO Mag. It was going to be called Weekdays. So it was going to be 5 tracks: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Kind of funny, right? Yeah. And then I had so much content from the first album. I had like 28 songs, and I consolidated it down to 12. So I took some of those songs, not all of them, and put them into this album. And I already have 13 songs, but I'm only going to do 12. I'm trying to keep it consistent with the last one. I might do 13 if this song is powerful enough, if I can move it that way. But it's called High Tide. One of the tracks is called I Need Your Love, and that features my boy Gabe from Live Mannequins. I'm pretty sure you heard of these cats. Are from Sacramento, Live Mannequins. DJ Rated R is a DJ. And I got this dude named Runt Rock who's from there. He's a really badass MC. I sent him the track. He's like, this is my vibe. And I got my wife singing on it. And I'm still waiting for the second verse to come back because I felt like it needed a little bit more. And then I was able to make the track a little longer. My wife's never sang in her life. She just got ballsy and said, you know what? I said, do you want to sing on my album? Come on. And I'm like, come on, sing. And she's like, yeah, I'm coming. I'm like, all right. I'm like, here's the headphones. You got this, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, here, let me give you some reverb. Okay. And she's like, she was hecka nervous, but I think more or less she was impressed with how I was able to direct her. Because I've done it so many times with other artists. And so when she was in my studio, she wasn't my wife anymore. She was my superstar. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. Great, man. Yeah. So you're gonna hear it. It's a little bit of soul, a little bit of funk. There is a sample in the background that plays over and over. And I played some of the bass and I played some guitar. It's a cool track. And then the other ones I collaborated with Roving Jewel on that track "Breathe" I was telling you about. And then I got I worked with some cats from Roving Jewel. Some dudes out in the South. They're called the Shaw Brothers. Little different flavor, a little different texture, but they got that conscious hip hop vibe that I was looking for, and they brought it. And you're going to hear that one track. It's called Monday. And I kept that song Monday because that was one of the songs. And then I got this, one of my faves, which is we're going to start off with, is my boy Gonzo that lives right down the street. This kid can make some badass lo-fi hip hop beats out of nowhere. Remember I was telling you about those bedroom producers? They got flames.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Where did they come from, right?
You can't sleep on nobody, man. You can't sleep on nobody with these DAWs and these sounds and these plugins. Man, you don't need nothing but a trigger, and you don't even need that sometimes. Yeah. So I mean, it's just like, man, they out there. They just in hiding. We just got to find them.
Yeah. So, and then the other tracks are everything's still in the works. It's going to be released on May 21st, which is my birthday. And I encourage all of you to jump on my Facebook and on my Instagram and join me and celebrate this album. I will be doing a live show here in my house or in my studio. And I'm going to bring some of those MCs out. It may not be on the 21st, but it's going to be around there, maybe a couple weeks later. I want to put something together that's safe, fun to listen to, and then I'll have everything, and I'll be giving away some free loot for all you listeners to come and join me and celebrate my birthday with this release.
Yeah, I will be taking that in, man. Definitely. Looking forward to it. All right, bro, we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here. It has been so wonderful to talk to you, man. Again, you just kind of just get in conversation and just forget about time.
I know.
And your technical breakdown is none other. I'm gonna have to get you as a guest judge on the Gauntlet, bro, because you just chopped it up and broke it down to the minute science, and people need that. People need that.
I would love to be a guest. That would be awesome. You got some good guests on there, actually. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, speaking of where people can find you, go ahead and give them the rundown of your socials so they can find you and find your production.
Yeah, I'll be sending it to you. You can put it up on the stream here, on your production here. But you can find me. You look up Andrew Lozano. It's spelled Lozano. You look it up on Facebook. You'll see this face. I have like 3 different profiles. I run my own record label called Freaky Music Group. It's a play on words. Freaky is spelled like frequency, but Freaky Music Group. But you could also find me on Instagram if you're on IG. And if you're not, get on it. It's andrew.lozano. That is my artist page, official artist page. So those are probably the most important ones. And of course, you got your Twitter if you're on there. I'm not on there too much. There's too much drama.
You and me both. My
Yeah.
Twitter got cobwebs on it, man. I don't even touch that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
All right. So again, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to talking to you again, and looking forward to hearing this great project that's going to come out.
Thanks, man.
And just thank you for your time, brother. Really appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on the show. We'll be talking very soon.
Yes, sir. Difficult roads often lead to most beautiful destinations. Shoot your shot. Go for the win. You might make it. Peace.
For sure. Peace.
Yeah. I hit the snooze too many times and now I'm late for school. Just grab my skateboard, there's no time to eat a plate of food. The class clown always asking for a pass, and I never cared to study, so they kicked me out of class. And that's the day I seen her, she was walking down the hall. This tall blonde beauty in her body, oh my god. When she smiled, it would have my tongue hanging to the jaw. This angel must be heaven sent, cause I don't see a flaw. She would walk by waving, but we knew she had a man. She was winning beauty pageants, there's no way I had a chance. I would fantasize of holding hands and walking to the class. Start the morning with romantic jokes just to hear her laugh. A mixtape full of love songs to listen in her ride. Let her know that it's a blessing just to have her by my side. Treating her like royalty and glad that she's my queen. And I woke up in the morning just to realize it's a dream.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am young again.
Another grain of sand passing in the hourglass. There she is again, I can't believe we're crossing paths. Been over 10 years, it still gives me the butterflies. I can't continue life not knowing, so I gotta try. I introduced myself and used the past to get acquainted. She just smiled and respectfully declined. I was determined, thinking, how can I impress? It was 5 years of trying just for me to get a yes. So I pulled up nervous with a bouquet of her favorite flowers. I gotta make her feel a lifetime with a couple hours. She stepped out, cinematic like a movie scene. I must be dreaming that I get to date this beauty queen. I made her feel the way she hasn't for a while, and she told me that she loves the way I always make her smile. I express the way she makes me feel the feeling still exists. So it's either now or never, and I leave it for a kiss.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am young again.
I got the sweetest fruit I picked up from the apple tree, cause what I used to fantasize is now reality. I always compliment her body, soul and mind, reminding her how lucky that I have her by my side. I always write her love notes and I'll text her love quotes, and remind her that I'll never break her heart. If what was meant to be, you'll never take apart. Her touch is so angelic, like she's playing with a harp. And her voice to me is music to my ears, and I promise you that I will never make you form a tear. Our connection was too perfect, like it was meant to be. Every time I heard her heartbeat, I swear it mentioned me. You turned me from a sour note into something sweet. Didn't think that this existed, cause love was out of reach. You saw me differently, and though off on the street, so I'm thankful for this given chance and making me complete.